You
Bobby,
guys
you go into
wildly.
next year with the same roster. How would you consider that?
Exact same roster? I don't know. I'd have to rate that against what our opportunities were to change the roster. If we go into the same roster, I think we'd be a better basketball team just by the fact that we'd have better chemistry. I think one of the things that surprised me the most was the fact that we took, as an organization, a somewhat new staff, coaching staff, and 6 or 7 or 8 new players and asked them to gel and become cohesive in a short amount of time. And to see them actually do that was something that, we hoped for, but didn't necessarily bank on. So to have, I always think, and I think our front office always believes, that continuity is important within an organization. So to have another year of continuity, I do think we'd come back with a better product, assuming health. But I'd have to balance that against what options we had on the table and decided not to do. And that's the thing that the draft brings and free agency brings and trades bring, as to at the end of the season, our job in the front office is to look back and say, did we make the right decisions? Did we draft the right players? What trades presented themselves that we decided to pass on? Those are the type of analysis that we have to do in order to make the best decisions. So going to next season, I would know and we would know as a front office what the opportunity cost of keeping those players was. But they were great for us this year, and I assume if they came back and things worked out, I'd hope that we'd have a better team next year than we did this year.
Who are your untouchables on your roster?
I don't like to get into who's untouchable and who isn't, really. I think all the players have value. Certainly pleased with a lot of what they did. At this point, I would say that we're not on the phone actively trying to shop any of our players for a lot of reasons. Extremely talented group, extremely young, high character guys. And again, there's still an evaluation process that needs to take place, I think, with this group in order to determine where we need to go and how good they can actually be as a healthy unit.
Jarrett Jack, a lot of people seem to think he's going to make a lot of money on this free agent market. He's going to be very much in demand, and yet he was very emotional, wearing his jersey after the game, professing his love for the team. Does that give you hope that perhaps maybe the maximum amount of salary won't be the deciding factor in bringing him back?
Well, I think the thing with any free agent, and Jarrett specifically, is you want a player that you had on your roster to want to come back. I believe Jarrett genuinely thinks that. I think that if it was a tie in financially, he would come back and be very happy. What does free agent hold for him? I don't think he knows. I don't think anybody knows. He's done a great job positioning himself. Any praise and accolades he received, whether locally or nationally or amongst his peers, is well deserved. But again, by representing so many players as an agent, everybody makes different decisions for different reasons. So Jared is a very smart guy. The thing that he has that a lot of players don't have is perspective. He's been a starter. He's been a backup. He's been in free agency. I think he's been traded. He's had a lot of things happen to him. So I think personally he has to decide what's best for him. I think he did a great job for us, and we hope that we can find a way to make something work. But we have no idea, nor does anybody, as to what his options will be, as to what our options are.
Is it safe to say that perhaps, the luxury tax is an issue, that this team is still willing to spend the luxury tax to retain a piece like Jarrett Jack?
Yes, I would say unequivocally this team has shown by last year that it will go into the tax to sign players and be competitive. The best thing about working for the ownership that we have here, the best thing I can say is that when all the conversations we have as a group, the first word that is brought up is win. That's a blessing to be able to work in an organization like that, where it's not budget, it's not cost, it's not dollars, it's winning. So when you start from a place of winning, you may venture into the tax if it does help you win and it's worth it. But you have to be smart about it. You have to be prudent about it. But we've shown last year, I can tell you, it was a decision we made with Carl Landry, with his signing and reacquiring Brandon Rush. Do we want to go into the tax? And the dialogue that our front office had with our ownership was, are you comfortable going into the tax? And we cannot promise that we'll be able to get out of the tax. And ownership answered in the affirmative, go. If you think Carl Landry and Brandon Rush are going to be important to this team, go get them. I imagine it'll be the same directive this summer.
Bob, how fundamentally do you think this organization has changed in the eyes of free agents? How different is it from a year ago?
What's the best word to describe a 180? I mean, I don't know.
180.
Yeah, 180, sure. You know what? I think the thing that I would say is every organization is a brand. And anytime you hear an NBA franchise mentioned, it brings to your mind certain thoughts, whether it's success, winning, destination, city, whatever comes to mind. All those things are thought of when you mention any organization. Well, I hear from our players, I hear from other general managers, coaches, our ownership hears from other owners that they love watching our team play. Talked to somebody this morning who said that. And a lot of times, sometimes you think people are just being nice, but we've heard it from enough people to believe that it's true. People do enjoy watching this group of players play. They do enjoy watching our games on TV and seeing what the crowd brings. They do enjoy watching the way our coaches get the most out of the group that we have. So what does that say? Well, if you're a player in the NBA and you're witnessing all these things, it does make it a desirable place to go and be a part of. Our owner is on the floor, living and dying every play. As a player, I can tell you that's meaningful. We've shown that we would go into the tax. We've shown that we can have some success. We've shown that we have an unselfish group of players. So that all matters when players are choosing where to go play in free agency, because certainly financial objectives are important, but winning is very important. Happiness is important. And so we are now, in my opinion, in the conversation to get players, whereas before it was a harder objective to accomplish.
You said before the season that you guys were not in the conversation for championships and that's what you wanted to be, though.
Right.
Are you in that conversation now? Or how far?
I don't know. I mean, internally, we know we need to get better. I mean, a lot of people are going to have their own opinions about where this group can go, but our job is to work hard every day in the front office and the coach's job and the players' jobs, for that matter, is to get better. So I don't think we are where we need to be right now. We need to get better, and there's a lot of ways to get better. But I don't sit here, and I don't think our group sits here today thinking we're done. Our work is done, and we can rest on anything we've accomplished.